Hello, this is Karen Thompson, CEO of Atlantic Symphony Orchestra. We're a regional professional orchestra located south of Boston on the South Shore of Massachusetts. I'm here with our music director, Jin Kim, for our fifth ASO Thursday Live program. Hi, Jin.
Hi, Karen. How are you?
I'm fine. Thanks very much. I'm enjoying today's absolutely beautiful weather. It's gorgeous.
Yes, and I was hoping to, videotape this outside, but my neighbor is mowing the lawn, so.
Oh, well, yeah, it's kind of what we're dealing with these days, but it's still nice to see your face regardless where you are.
Thank you. Likewise.
Before we continue, I'd like to remind our viewers to let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to find out where you're from. We'd love to get some likes. We'd love to have you share this program with your friends if you think they'd be interested. And I understand that this week we're visiting with Tim Macri. That's terrific.
Yeah, Tim joined the orchestra about 4 years ago. He's our principal flutist, and so in addition to him putting together this very intriguing and fabulous programming, he actually videotaped this at Boston's Basilica, where he's the music director.
Oh, terrific. It's going to be gorgeous. I can't wait.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm going to scoot, let you get to it, and I'll see you later.
All right, sounds good.
Bye.
Hello, we're with Tim Macri, our principal flutist. It was so nice to have him join us. He is joining us from home right now, but as you see in the performance, he's at another place. Hello, how are you, Tim?
I am fantastic. Thank you very much.
That's great. Tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you've been with the orchestra for 4 years, right?
Yeah.
Give us a little background on where you hail from and, studies and everything else.
Sure. I grew up in Springfield, Massachusetts, so state boy, and I came to Boston to go to school and stayed because that's where I met most of my friends and where I started working, and I enjoyed the atmosphere and it was close to home, so I stayed. And since then, I've Boston's now my home, so I'm happy to be here.
Well, we're certainly very lucky and happy to have you in the orchestra as well. Obviously, you're a full-time musician. You probably perform more than you teach, right?
Yes, yeah, definitely.
A lot, right? And so in addition to holding the position with the orchestra here with ASO, what other groups do you play with?
I'm also a principal flute with the New Bedford Symphony Orchestra, and I play often with Springfield Symphony in my hometown. Great orchestra out there. And also I'm the music director of the Basilica of Our Lady Perpetual Help, which is a huge church on Mission Hill, right near the Brigham and Women's Hospital. And I also service another church in Dorchester.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, I stay pretty busy doing that.
Yeah. So, and how long have you been at the Basilica?
Officially, I've been there for about 20 years now this
Are
year.
you really? Wow.
Yeah, I came on board the Basilica in 2000. They had a late Sunday liturgy, and I came on board to lead that. And then position grew, and I took on more responsibilities, and now I'm the music director. So there you have it.
That's great.
Wow, 20 years.
I know how time flies. The sense I get from you and the experience I've had with you is not only you're a fantastic flutist, but you're just a very, very good musician. And of course, in order to become a fantastic flutist, you have to be a very good musician. But so, I mean, what else is, other than playing the flute and looking at all the repertoire and stuff, do you arrange or do you do other things as well?
I do. When I started with music, I'll try to keep this brief. When I started in music, it was more of a fascination with sound. And I later discovered by going through my father's record collection that kind of was the same thing with him. His record collection was extremely diverse. Everything from sound effects records to early country and early pop and Carpenters to rock and beyond. And so when my interest in music was basically just everything, literally everything. So I would go to flea markets and I'd pick up piano scores. If they were works for violin and piano, I'd pick those up. And I just happened to start flute in public school, like so many other young United States citizens. I don't know why it was the flute, but it didn't stop me from playing piano music, reading orchestra scores, reading bass music, reading anything written for anybody. I just enjoyed reading. And one of those things was vocal repertoire, Renaissance music, medieval music, all that great history of compositions that we have for voices. One quick story I'll tell is I had found in a used bookstore the entire score to Götterdämmerung. And I had the LP set, and my parents were out of the house, and they came home, and I had the score open, and I was playing with as many instruments as whoever was playing at the moment in the score. Or the stereo was full volume, and I think my parents thought I was a little strange. If they didn't think I was strange already, they thought I was strange when I was blasting the stereo with this opera and playing along with the flute, which that's not a right kid right there.
But that actually reminds me of James Levine. You know, when he was a child, he built a set for one of the operas. Remember that?
Yeah,
and they took a picture of that and was showing his parents. Wow, you're not too far behind there. So,
but I loved all kinds of music, and I love singing. I'm not a very good pianist, but I love playing the piano. Everything, all music. So I'm always busy. I've always got something to interest me.
That's great. Again, it's the one thing to have somebody in the orchestra that are fantastic at what they do with their instrument and are just a terrific musician with that instrument. But it's just that much more exciting and interesting to be working with somebody with what I call someone with a much more of a sense of a kind of a third ear happening, outside the instrument happening. So tell us a little bit about the program that you put together for us at the Basilica.
Sure. I put together kind of a varied program and goes from early to late. But a couple of things that I want to point out about that program. The very first piece that I played called Planctus Guiliemus, and that's a plaint. That's just a song about William the Conqueror. One of the rare secular songs we have from the medieval period. I played it because I think it showcases the sonority of that huge basilica. And if you're in town when we're not locked down, the doors are open. So walk right in. So I played that to really sort of demonstrate the sonority of the Basilica. Following that is one of my transcriptions of a great organ work. Actually, I think it's called The Great A Minor Prelude and Fugue of Bach. The prelude is pretty much like a toccata, which if anybody out there doesn't know, the toccata usually describes a piece that's up and down the instrument. You're toccata touching the instrument, making sure everything is going. So it flies all over the place. And I thought that would make a really nice flute transcription. It's a beast to play, and I don't know why I chose to play that. It's my own transcription, and it's impossible to play, but there it is. Following that is one of Bach's compatriots, Telemann, one of Telemann's fantasies. He wrote 12 for the flute, he wrote 12 for the violin. Just nice, free-form, unaccompanied works. That A major one is the first of the 12. And then going a little bit later to Carl Philipp Emanuel Bach. Carl Philipp was a good friend of King Frederick the Great of Prussia. He knew Quantz, and there was also another famous flutist, Bouffardin. It's a great name, a brilliant flutist at the time. And of course, Frederick the Great was a very good flutist. So Carl Philipp Emanuel Bach wrote this unaccompanied sonata for Frederick, and I played the first movement from that. Following that, we jumped to Siegfried Karg Aller, and he was a North German composer. He died in 1933. Famous composer for that era. Interestingly enough, in the 20s, when he was sort of really on a roll, the political climate in the 20s in Germany was not supportive of continental travelers and people with outside experience bringing in ideas. And so he wasn't too much revered in his native land, but he was highly respected in the States and in Europe. He wrote a lot of flute music. The sonata that I played is unaccompanied F-sharp minor sonata, the Appassionata. You get a lot of juxtaposition in range and dynamics and fast and slow, melodic and pensive, and it's crazy. He had a good friend who was a flutist, and when the First World War hit, he wrote 30 short studies, which we still play, for his friend to take to the field because he knew that there were going to be times when he was bored. So a great friend of flutists. Following that is Pierre-Octave Férou, who was a composer. He died in his 30s. He was a good friend of Poulenc and Mio and that whole set, and tragically was decapitated in an automobile accident in Hungary. So this beautiful piece he wrote for us, this Bergère Captive, really evocative, quite lovely. Sounds like the kind of thing you could just make up and improvise, but it's a good piece to think about and study and look at all the way he uses his melodic devices. And then lastly on the program, I was really, really happy to always to showcase this work, Doris Schaeffler-Curtis. Doris Schaeffler-Curtis was a good friend of my very first flute teacher in Springfield, Aram Bedrosian. She was married to Edgar Curtis, who was the fourth conductor of the Albany Symphony. So my first flute teacher and his wife were very good friends with the Curtises. And Doris Curtis had written this short little piece and introduced it to my teacher, Aram. He was Armenian and a great thinker, and there are many, many letters and writings about this simple little piece. And I have a letter from her that says, Aram, you remember this piece much better than I do. So why don't you rewrite it and edit it and put it however you'd like to put it. So I'm happy to play this piece by a woman who was a great patron of the arts, also involved in the arts and in all manner of, mid-century activities. A really lovely, lovely piece.
Wow.
So that's the program.
Well, I mean, it's a full program, certainly. Thank you so much for putting that together, especially with such a great backdrop of the Basilica as well. But I mean, it kind of goes to show, I mean, you may not have gotten a degree in musicology, but, this is much more than just playing some cool pieces that come your way. I mean, you unearth a lot. And then the other part to really keep in mind, as you heard from Tim, is there's a lot of human element that goes into composing and playing and everything else, with these instruments and all these pieces. I mean, we have to keep in mind that although some of these pieces were written long time ago, one thing that's very consistent throughout then and now is that people write pieces for each other. And then somehow you get to know each other and then maybe plays one piece and then kind of as a result of it getting connection. So it's always, to me, that I also find it very fascinating. It's a very small world, when it comes down to that, right? Because everything is really connected. With that, speaking of just living life, what you've been doing like as of last month or two?
Oh, wow. I have been, luckily, we're broadcasting liturgy from the Basilica. So I go into the office and plan out music. I now am actually in charge of all the Spanish liturgy. So that's a brand new challenge for me. A fun challenge, really, really fun. So I get to go do that. I get to actually leave the house and go to my office. It's a very safe, hygienic environment, huge place with not many people around. But I get to do that. I go on lots of walks because I'm located in the Forest Hills section of Boston, which is the southern end of the city. And we are literally surrounded by nature. I have the Forest Hill Cemetery and one side and the Arboretum on the other side and the Blue Hills south to me. So lots to walk. So I've been enjoying that. And I have 2 cats, but no dog. So luckily I can take the neighbor's dog with me if I get bored, because the cats are not coming on a walk with me. Yeah, just practicing a lot and getting ready for when we can start living life fully again. That's what I'm trying to do.
I think that's kind of a common consistency among musicians is this is time to practice a lot, right? Because you hear that over and over again. So, that's a good thing, but there's a reason why we perform, right? So we do need to share, and not only with the public, but also with other musicians, because that makes the whole experience that much richer. And again, there's that human element again. You said that you have some projects coming up as well?
Yeah, I have 2 things that are happening almost immediately. One is the second oboist of the Atlantic Symphony, Laura Shamu, and I are good friends. She's principal of New Bedford. I'm principal of New Bedford. So we've known each other for a long time. We really enjoy working with each other. We're doing a duo program. We're filming a duo program, which again, we're doing it at the Basilica. Plenty of room for us to do so, a safe, healthy environment. We've already started. We've got a couple of pieces that are being mastered at the moment, and hopefully we can bring those to people soon. And second, beginning next week will be the famous and beautiful Debussy trio for flute, harp, and viola, with 2 colleagues, one from the New Bedford Symphony and one a colleague who's just freelancer in town. Looking forward to really doing some in-depth work with that gorgeous piece. So yeah, happy to have those projects, those challenges. Got to be challenged in life, even if it's a small one.
Sounds like a very wonderful projects going on, so that's great. So before we leave, I know there are a lot of people ask you this, I'm sure. I'm just looking at your flute over there. Tell us just briefly about the difference between a gold flute versus a silver flute, or versus maybe a wooden flute, for that matter.
Sure. I happen to own a beautiful silver flute and a beautiful wood flute in addition to my 14-karat gold flute. One of the most common questions I get asked is, wow, it's a beautiful flute. Is it solid? And I say, no, it's not solid. It has a hole in the middle for all the air to go through. So no, it's not solid.
It'd be very heavy too.
It would be really an impractical thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, I used to play an antique flute from 1878, which I absolutely loved. Got from my first flute teacher. But when I went looking for a new flute, I was testing a lot of instruments. And when I played gold instruments, my manner of playing, which you probably tell if you listen to the little concert that I threw together, my manner of playing is aggressive sometimes. I like to put my whole self into the instrument. I really like to just really get in there and manipulate all those sounds. And the gold adds the kind of resistance that makes that possible. Mm-hmm. You can really go in, it's very malleable, go in and give it all the energy you want, and it will take that and translate it for you. Silver, sometimes when I'm feeling not so full out, I'll play a silver flute. Silver can be a little more dainty and lovely and responsive. And the wood, I find, is a great combination of both. So I love playing them all. I'm very fortunate to own them and have them. And the gold is my favorite. I adore this guy or girl. It doesn't really matter. I adore this thing. So yeah, that's my flute. I'm very happy to play. It's a Haynes flute made here in Boston.
Yeah, Boston is a big flute maker town, right?
Yeah.
So we're very much looking forward to having you with us for a long while. And thank you so much once again for putting together this excellent program. And we look forward to catching up soon, hopefully in person.
Absolutely.
Right.
I hope everybody enjoys it. Have a great rest of the spring.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Tim.
Okay, you bet.
Oh, wow. Thank you. I'm still drinking that in. Jin, thanks so much for getting that put together. Tim, thank you so much. That was wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, and also what a beautiful setting, the Basilica, and the lighting too. Kind of sad to see it so empty, but it's a wonderful thing. And more and more we do this week after week. I'm just amazed at the wealth of talent that we have, and the kind of people that we have as well. So not only are they great at what they do, but it's much more than just playing one instrument.
Yeah.
They know so much about music, and pretty much lives and breathes music all around.
Yeah, absolutely. And it makes for a fascinating time for me. I love every bit of it. So Tim, thanks again. Thank you everybody for watching this program. What are we going to be doing next week? Do you know?
So we're working on a program that's going to feature two completely opposed instruments. But you'll soon find out there is a very, very important common bond between the two. And I know it's a lot of kind of cliffhanging talk, but it should be another fun show. How's that?
Very mysterious. I'm looking forward to that. And I hope you are too. We hope to see you again next week. Thank you so much for joining us this week. Please let us know in the comments where you're watching from and give us a thumbs up. Let your friends know about the program. If you'd like to see earlier episodes, you can find them on Facebook, YouTube, and our website, atlanticsymphony.org. I think that about wraps it up for this week, Jen, for me. How about you?
Same here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good to see you. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Take care.